And so that's where we want to bring our friend Dee Bowden in. How are you this evening, Dee?
I'm great. How are you?
I am so fired up to have you here in the 31 Success Strategies in Entrepreneurial Elevation. She's elevating me by her mere presence. Dee, tell us a little bit about you and the backstory on how you became an Amazon best-selling author and how the book is doing.
Well, first of all, Stan, thank you so much for this opportunity. So good evening, good morning, and good afternoon around the world to all of your listeners. That's first and foremost. I am not just an author, I'm a co-author. This is actually a collaboration, which actually goes right to your point about being part of a team. So this team of 31 authors came together under the leadership of Cheryl Wood and put together Entrepreneur Elevation. My chapter is called How Secure Is Your Cash Flow, which is basically managing your money as a business owner. As I was listening to you describe all the principles, I was like, this is like the perfect marriage of things that you're talking about, and especially the scriptures between John 10:10, 3 John 2, and I thought, we haven't even had this conversation. I'm like, he's already calling my stuff. No, I'm teasing.
Yes,
I'm teasing.
Yes,
but it was refreshing because it's good to know that everything is biblically based, and so for that I want to say thank you.
I just want to share with you
Sure.
when I say yes, we have. I want to tell you all this and listen to me here. When you turn on ESPN, you see sports. When you turn on CNN, you see news. When you turn on CNBC, you see business news. When you turn your mind and your spirit to prosperity and blessing, you start to attract people like Dee Bowden. This is about energy. Energy exists whether we do or not. Everything you see, the table, the chairs, and all of us are sources of energy. And there is a characteristic of energy. It does not have a start and it doesn't have an end. It will always exist. And when you get on an energy wavelength, the same energy wavelength, Dee, what you'll find is people who are on that same wavelength just naturally show up.
That's true. That's very true.
That's how you got with Cheryl Wood.
That's very true. That's very true. So, you know what? I'm glad you said that because you hear a lot of people talking about energy, and I think people get really kind of, not spooked out, I'm not the right word, but get a little concerned about it. But I think it's this. Like begets light.
That's right.
And if you're going in the right direction, then it kind of is the flow, it's the rhythm that if you're going in the right direction, you're going to attract just what you said, people that are like-minded. So even though I was joking when I said, we hadn't talked, we had talked, but it was, like I said, it was a confirmation of what you're about and what I'm about. So let me jump in and just talk about the book, and then we can go into this. So
go all around the world.
Go around. All right. So first of all, let me show the picture. This is Entrepreneur Elevation, and here are the 31 authors and the visionary Cheryl Wood. So I'm one of the 31. So this book today, which is really exciting. So first of all, thank you for allowing me to talk about this for a moment. So the book today became an Amazon bestseller in the category of motivational business strategies. So what that means is that for entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, if you're looking for direction on how to create your business, maybe like setting up legally, like becoming an LLC and getting a tax ID and all the things that are important to business, each of us cover a piece of that. I happen to deal with revenue. I'm a cash person. Most people know me as a cash flow strategist. So my thing is about making sure that once you're in business, once you have a sale, that the sale is not complete until the money's in the bank. Because what happens is a lot of people forget that you're chasing the next sale, you're chasing the next thing, but you get really hyped about that. But be clear, please be clear. The sale is not complete until the money is in the bank.
My business mentor, God rest his soul, I used to tell him, hey, I got this great new client. And he would say, is it a paying client?
Exactly. And he and I would be on the same page.
He used to tell me, that's just a prospect until you get the money.
That's right, until you get the sale. The sale is not complete until the money's in the bank. And I talk about that all the time because, and if it's okay, I'd like to share a story about why this is so important. So about 14 years ago, I worked for a small IT firm. Let me back up. I'm actually from the Boston area, so all y'all who have things about Boston, don't hate, but I'm from Boston, so if we're doing sports, yes, I'm a Patriots fan, I'm a Red Sox fan, I'm a Celtics fan.
See,
I'm all
backwards
things,
right there. You're
no, I'm not going back.
Right now. You
I'm gonna
just stop that ball. You got naming them.
So I'm proud Boston strong. So seriously, I worked for a company called Amherst Technologies about 14 years ago, and they were a small IT firm. And this is important to anybody who's listening, who's aspiring or actually is in business. They had $8 million worth of sales on the books, but not in the bank. True story. $8 million worth of sales on the books, not in the bank. I was brought in as a collector to come in and actually untangle those $6 million. When I did in 60 days. On October 24th, 2005, the CEO says, let's come downstairs and have a conversation. We all come downstairs and we get told, thank you so much for your service. You got 30 minutes to pack up your stuff. We're out. We're closing.
Yeah, that's reality.
And it happens.
Yeah. It happens. That goes to Anthony.
Yeah.
So, what happened after you? No dialogue, no explanation.
So the reason this is, so no dialogue, no explanation, but what's really,
He needs to fill that out. Go ahead.
Okay, so the importance of this story is that, number one, the fact that this business was in business and it had these sales, and these different departments operated in silos. So sales did sales, contracts did contracts, payables and receivables never talked. For all those that are listening, I want them to understand that your business is composed of four things. You have to have sales, you have to have a contract, you have to bill, and you have to get paid. And if you're not keeping track of those four things, you can easily go out of business, like the Payless Shoes, like Dressbarn, like Charm and Charlie's, at a larger scale.
Blockbuster.
Exactly, old school. We go all the way back, but the ones that I'm familiar with right now. But those happen right now, and that's the thing that's so key, because if you forget that you're in business to do one thing, which is make money.
That's right.
That's regardless of whatever your lane is, but it's to make money.
The father of management science, Peter Drucker, wrote in his classic book, Management, that business by definition is an organization designed to satisfy the need or desire of a customer and earn a profit thereby. Right. So if you're home, you say you're in business. If you're the only one that like your apple pies, you're not in business, right? A business is designed to satisfy a need of a customer, right?
Right.
And earn a profit thereby, and that is what this is about.
Absolutely.
And then if you repeat that over and over again, you can become pretty successful.
Right, as long as you put some legs to it and have a plan with it as well.
And help them scale it, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people, think about the wealth of a Bill Gates. Bill Gates did one thing. He created an operating system for computers called Windows. And every year, millions of boxes of Windows go all over the world. And he is paid for creating one thing one time.
Right.
And just repeated over and over and over and over again. And see, that's the great thing about being in business. The late, great Stephen Jobs created a new operating system for these smartphones called touchscreen. Now everyone, whether they be a Samsung, an Android user, or whether they be an iPhone user, everyone uses a touch screen. It's interesting. I talked to my youngest son, who's 21, before coming down here to Maryland 2 days ago, and I asked him, does he remember a thing called a payphone?
No, he doesn't.
Elijah was like, what is that?
Right, exactly.
Remember when you had to put those quarters in? There's no such thing as a payphone.
No, I think, matter of fact, I think if you do see a payphone, it's probably going to be in a museum.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you: do you work with clients individually?
I work with clients individually, and I also work with companies. Yes.
Okay, and so describe the experience with hiring Dee Bowden as their cash flow strategist.
So to hire Dee Bowden from BCS Solutions means basically you're coming to me because, number one, you have outstanding accounts. You have outstanding money that's owed to you from either products or services that you actually have provided. So basically, a simple example is this. If you sell IT services and you've sold, say, $10,000 worth of IT services and you haven't gotten paid, and let's say it's either 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days past due, what you would do is reach out to me or BCS Solutions and say, listen, I'm having trouble getting paid. I've already done the basic phone calls, letters. I need somebody to take a look at what are my disconnects and how come I'm not getting paid. And what you do is what's called outsourcing that, and the accounts will be turned over to us to research, resolve, and then actually eventually get your money back.
Absolutely. Do you use entities like factors or revenue-based lenders?
I don't.
Because I hear a lot of companies, Almitra Tankersley, Miss Credit Fitness, a lot of companies are saying, they're not bringing in cash or they need cash. Credit is an issue personally because of what happened 8 years ago, but they're using their businesses to do these revenue. I had a client in New Jersey restaurant that was over $5 million a year in sales. They took one of these revenue-based loans, and it was literally driving them out of business because this company would do an electronic deduction at 19.5% from their account every day. But see, when they got the loan, that $100,000 seemed like it was a lot of money. And after they burned through that $100,000, guess what was left? Another entity that was taking money from their account every day.
Right. Well, that happens, but that's not my lane. So so for your listening audience, my lane has to do with once you've already established yourself as a
and you have outstanding receivables.
The companies have outstanding receivables, right? So the goal is to basically come in and do two things. It's either to train the collectors that are actually on staff how to collect better, or to have the services outsourced. I personally don't recommend factoring. I don't think that's a viable way to go and be into more business or more debt with your money. The thing is, if you've already provided your service in good faith and you actually have a legal standing contract, you should be able to provide your service, bill for it, and get paid. And obviously there are always exceptions to every rule, but the way that I flow and the way I've been successful has to deal with established companies that already have millions or thousands of dollars in receivables, but they're struggling with, what am I supposed to say? How do I do this? And how do I not mess up the relationship? A lot of what small businesses are concerned about is they're messing up the relationship. But I contend that you don't mess up the relationship. It's how you see it. It's your mindset. And if you're seeing it as, I'm going to mess up the relationship versus I'm owed this money because I provided my service or my product, that's a different way of approaching it.
Yeah, again, I go back to my business mentor. This guy had such practical ideas that he applied for me. So this is what I used to ask clients. I've been in business for 32 years now. This is what I used to ask clients. When I had outstanding receivables, I would call the clients and I would say, I love my children more than anything else in the world, Joe. Why don't you want my kids to eat? I would say, no, I want your kids to eat. And I would be, well, I'm looking at this invoice that's been more than 90 days.
And how come it's not paid?
So I said, I ask you again, why should my children starve? So, I know that you probably have more sophisticated methods than that, but that was my question.
Right. and again, and I think, and that's the thing to talk about in terms of this piece around collections. Unfortunately, collections has a bad taste and a bad reception. Most people would rather go get a root canal than have to go ask somebody for their money, because when you think about it, most of us don't want to have to. We don't. Two things. One, when you go in business with your customer, you've already built a relationship. You're trying to make sure you maintain it, which is provide the service, provide the product, or maybe provide the service, and then get paid. Nobody really wants to have to come up and ask you, listen, like you said, well, my kid can't eat, so why aren't you paying me? Yeah. Nobody wants to deal with that. But unfortunately, what happens is that people are so focused on the next sale, the next contract, the next thing. They're not dealing with the back end, which is where my specialty is. And number two, I think that it's just one of those things where people get scared about asking for money. But this funny thing is, the people don't have a problem with selling you whatever they sold you.
Yeah, and that's not just that. I haven't found that that's just the case in collections.
Right.
That's also the case in sales.
True.
I remember I also do sales training for companies. I'll go out and do representation for companies for a month. Right. I'm about to start with a Golden Corral franchise in Middletown, New York. Hey, Robert Belmont, Teresa Salmon, and and all of you folks, will see you on next Wednesday up there in Middletown. But I go out and do direct representation for my clients. And so one time I was out doing representation for an insurance company, and they had sent out their #1 salesman for an account that they said this account was worth about $20 million. And the guy kept seeing him. They said he had a great relationship with the two owners, but the deal wasn't starting. So I went out with the guy and met with the two owners. And within the first 5 minutes, I said, listen, we have such a great relationship, gentlemen. I think it's just a piece of paperwork that we need to confirm how great the relationship is. Why don't you just go ahead and sign right there for me? And they went ahead and signed. So we come back to the office, and the owner who had hired me, right, I won't say your name, he paid me my money for representing. He said, how did you get them to say yes? I said, I just asked them. So he called the client up to welcome them and all that. He said, well, how come Frank was coming there every week buying you guys lunch? How come They said he would come and he would eat with us and he'd laugh and he'd talk about football and everything, but he never asked us to sign.
Interesting. Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the scripture because that's what I know. I'm a highly spiritual person. If you didn't know that, remember, nothing comes from me. It comes through me, and I'm proud of that. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Ask, and it shall be given. You got to ask. You have not because
you ask not.
You ask not. That's not Stan talking. That's the scripture, right? You know, if you talk to sales trainers, they will tell you 75% of salespeople are scared to death of rejection, so they don't even ask.
It's true, and it's interesting too because on the other side of that has to do with even in collections. What's made me successful in doing collections is that
you have a problem asking.
I don't have a problem asking, but number two, I learned how to build rapport. Right. Just like you talked about earlier. I mean, my success comes from getting on the phone, introducing myself, and doing two things: finding out what's the issue, but also expressing gratitude. People forget that it's almost like the little things that you forget all the time. Like gratitude is a huge thing. Yeah. Here's the thing: if you're in business and you have customers, right, you've been given a gift. Big gift. Which allows you to make money. That's right. And being able to acknowledge your gift, appreciate your gift, and then thank the person who's actually doing the research to get you paid, that's important. And that's what I've learned. So when I was sharing the story earlier about the $8 million on the books and not in the banks and $6 million that was collected, unfortunately, the sales, contracts, payments, and receivables didn't talk. But I learned a very valuable lesson from that thing. I realized that, number one, if you are not managing your flux, if you're not knowing the state of your accounts, you can think you are fine and you're not. And then you can go on, can continue making these purchases and doing all these crazy things, and you don't realize that you're short money. This company that went out of business not just changed my life, but it changed all the people's lives because we all went to work thinking we were going to actually be employed, and we weren't. And it happens all the time. And I think an even more relevant point is this. Our federal government, just in terms of impact, my chapter in my book says, how secure is your cash flow? The question is this, or the impact is this. Our federal government, well, our president can decide on a whim right now or whenever, we're going to close the government. Every company that's considered a government contractor that has a contract with the federal government, if those agencies are closed, those companies can't work, those people don't work, they're out of, their cash flow is impacted. And it trickles down to how do we make sure that doesn't happen? Well, I asked the question because you still have to make sure you're being prepared for this.
That's right. That's right. So that takes me very easily into the second question that I want to ask you. Who's a great client for you?
A great client for me is in the IT space, in the software space, in the government contracting space. And it's also a company that's got, say, $500,000 and up in revenue, and they're struggling with how do I recover my money because they don't want to use factors, they don't want to take out a loan, they really just want to get paid for their service. That's a great deal for me.
And more importantly than that, someone that's desirous of working with you and hiring BCS, how do they contact you?
Well, one of two ways. You can reach me online at www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. That's www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. Email rather is at bcssolutions36@gmail.com. That's bcssolutions36@gmail.com. Facebook, LinkedIn, it's D. Bowden or BCS Solutions.
Now, I know that everybody's going to want to contact her, so the telephone number one more time.
Number is 617-365-0814. That's 617-365-0814. Email is bcssolutions36@gmail.com. That's bcssolutions36@gmail.com. Website, www.bcsconsultinggrp.com.
BCS Consulting Group, the one and only D. Bowden. Congratulations on being an Amazon bestseller.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all of the companies out there that will have the pleasure to work with her. I want to share just a thought here. Just like we had D as a guest, we've got to understand that there are people like D out there that want to work with you. And that's what the Matthews Business Network does. In the state of New York, in the state of Pennsylvania, state of New Jersey, state of Pennsylvania, state of Maryland, and in the fall, the state of North Carolina. We will be opening a network group in Charlotte. So Jose Feliciano, we are coming your way. Dawn Fields, We are coming your way. And so what we do is we get together once a month with business owners that want business. They want to meet new clients. They want to build strategic relationships. We bring all of them together and we give them an opportunity to form relationships and do business with each other. Again, we have $303 billion to spend annually between New York City and Houston, but we're only spending 3% of it with each other. Our goal is to get us to 20% support level with each other.
Right.
Economic unity is very simple, but very hard to achieve, right? I don't want to hear about what the man did to you, right? Or how the man is stopping you from, I don't even know who the man is anymore, right? We have been in this nation since 1619. It is now 2019. There are 400 years, right? And even biblically it said in the 400th year, that's when they came out.
Right.
So we got to come out
with gold and silver.
With gold and silver, right? So go ahead and come out with your gold and silver and do your thing. So I want to tell you about some events. Our next event is going to be in Pennsylvania on September the 9th. The Matthews Business Network will be in the Hampton Inn in Bensalem on September the 9th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Come meet your new clients. You have no excuse about the fact I can't find new clients, I don't need business. We have about 50 business people who will be there that night under the leadership of Luke and Gail Titus, and also my new mom and partner, Miss Marquita Robinson Garcia, and Brittany Williams from Vision Venue, and Dozie Mbanu from MD Sports Management, and Sherry Darden, who's Scoop News Publishing, which is the largest black-owned newspaper in all of Philadelphia. They will all be there waiting to do business with you. If you stay home,
shame on you.
All right. So we have 4 success keys that we tell everyone who is out there that should be networking, right? Network is 2 words, net and work. Or flip it back, work the net, right?
Definitely.
You know, I have so many people say, oh, I can't find new clients, and they don't even share their name with one human being. If you can't introduce yourself to one human being every day who's in business, you don't deserve to have a profitable company because you are living in fear. You can either live in faith or you can live in fear, right?
Right, absolutely.
And guess what? You will either profit or you will be in poverty because your own attitude and personality is holding you back from just shaking someone's hand and saying, hi, D. Bowden, it's glad to meet you. I want your business.
Likewise.
How can I get your business, right? That's very easy for us to do. Dee and I met on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Right? We had an electronic contact, right? I look at LinkedIn as another form. This is my life philosophy. Stan Matthews is the friend of everyone. I just haven't met you yet. In person.
Right.
But I'm everyone's friend, right?
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you why. Peter asked Jesus, right? Master, we know that the first commandment, love God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, is the most important commandment. What is the second? Jesus said to him,
love your neighbor as you love yourself.
love your neighbor as you love yourself. For how can you say you love God who you have never seen and not love your neighbor who you see every day? So fellowship, after citizenship in the kingdom, fellowship is number 2, right? And so if you're not practicing fellowship, you deserve what you get. Huh?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So become everybody's friend, right? And then meet them ultimately.
Absolutely.
So the next event that the Matthews Business Network will have, as I said, is our Pennsylvania, South, and Central Jersey event at the Hampton Inn in Bensalem, Pennsylvania on September the 9th at 7 p.m. Okay? If you want to reach us, 732-357-5701. The other thing I want to share, the 2 ways that the Matthews Business Network and broadcast helps our client, and Dee is one of our clients now, we're so fortunate and grateful to have her, is we allow you to put a 30-second commercial on a premier national television event at a very affordable price. The national event that we now have is the Emmy Awards on the 22nd of September. The Emmy Awards, which celebrates the best television shows, is the premier event that we have offering for you. The second event is the BET Hip Hop Awards, which will be on Tuesday, October the 15th, is the BET Hip Hop Awards. If you want to know how you can market your business on premier events like that, call me at 732-357-5701. You only need $99 to get started, to reserve one of the spots, and we will be glad to help your business. Best of all, we show you how to do a launch party on the night of the event and charge a small fee, so you end up actually getting the promotion and you profit from it by doing a launch party. So if you invite 40 people to your launch party at $25 a person, that's $1,000. If you invest the $399 with us to get your commercials, subtract the $399 from the $1,000, you would have earned $601 and you would have gotten free advertising on network television. Right. That is what we're offering you. We think that's tremendous value, and we want to share it with you.